born here in Bennington and grew up here in Bennington, surrounding areas. In one way or another, I was always in the food business growing up. My family owned a community care home for the elderly, and my family also owned the Old Paradise restaurant here in Bennington. So as a child, I would go and sit in the kitchen and observe for hours on end. I think it was the realization that at college, my major was accounting, and the realization of being stuck behind a desk for a career, it wasn't appealing or exciting in any way. I decided to go to culinary, to get into the culinary world. And off to Lake Tahoe I went, and upon my return, I went to work for the same chef that I had watched as a child at the Paradise, who was now at the Mount Anthony Country Club. This is 1987, 88. And that's where I became fully immersed into the restaurant scene here in Bennington. About 3 years ago, my partner and the gentleman who owns the real estate here had contacted me about reopening the Bennington Station. It had been, a bunch of different things over the years, and each less successful than the previous. Going back to the 80s, when the Bennington Station was first turned from a railroad station into a restaurant, it was extremely popular. And that's what my partner was hoping to reconnect with, that part of the past. I've been lucky enough in my career to have worked in some great old buildings. I worked at the 1896 house in Williamstown, which in itself is a great old building. But this, 1897 it was built. It's on the National Historic Register. Calvin Coolidge, one of the presidents, gave a great speech here, just outside the window where we're seated. The character, the old world craftsmanship, it's a fantastic building. Again, people love to come to the station because it holds so much of Bennington within its walls. It really does. Where things were machined and built. A lot of ties to the community and beyond the community, to Rutland, where all the stone on the outside of the building, was shipped via rail car from quarries around the Rutland area. The most exciting thing about being a chef is you're constantly creative. You have an outlet for your creativity. You get to express yourself on a daily basis. That, for me, is definitely the highlight, or what I want out of my job. I'm lucky. I don't wake up in the morning and say, I don't have to go to work. I've never felt that way. I guess I look at, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do differently? What's fresh? What can I do with what I have? Mother Nature kind of gives us everything we need. Just put it together. That's my philosophy on cooking anyway. When I got into this field in the 80s, it was the tail end of, Escoffier's world. Continental cuisine and classic reproduction of heavy French. And in my career, I've seen everything change completely. I mean, it started, in the late 40s, 50s in France, and took a long time to gain here in the United States, but it certainly has. And with that, lighter foods, the whole molecular thing is fascinating. It changes, but then again, it stays the same. We have to have those classics or some point of reference to work from to make change. They're re-engineered, rethought versions of classics. That's the best part of it all. Yeah. That and the customer, the increase in the knowledge, the Food Channel or Food Network, all these cooking shows. I'm trying to think, who was a celebrity chef when I was a kid? Well, there was Julia Child, there was the Galloping Gourmet. Not like today. It's changed remarkably in my career time. I think they go together. I think that you can have your best and worst day every day. And, that the old saying, you're only as good as your last meal, is so true. So your triumphs and tragedies mingled in make up the best and the worst every day. Sure, there are some days that the tragedies are certainly more than the triumphs. And those are the ones you want to leave behind. And on the other side of that coin is there's certainly days where it seems you can't do anything wrong and every plate's a home run and everything's perfect. But, as I said, I think every day is your worst and best day, and that's what makes what we do so challenging and fun at the same time. Oreo cookies with milk. What would my last meal include? I would want a boiled lobster from Maine. I would want my mom's stuffed cabbage and some Oreo cookies and milk. I think that would do it. Every year, I like to eat at a place called Ron's Landing, and that's in Hampton, New Hampshire. His food is exceptional. Where would I really like to eat? There's two places in particular that I'd really love to eat before the bucket comes. The French Laundry and Gordon Ramsay's namesake at Royal Hospital Road. Those are two that I would, I hope to someday eat at both places. And where do I eat when I get the chance locally? The kitchen staff and myself ate at the Chanticleer in Dorset a few months back. That was fantastic. Really don't have that much time to dine out. I try to, when I do try to visit different restaurants instead of just one in particular, just to see what's going on and visit my neighbors here in the community. The Godfather, Apocalypse Now. There's a couple of my favorites. Listen, if I could find a rat that could cook like Keller, I'd hire him. Better yet, I'd go to work for him, I think. I had mentioned that I'd like to eat at the French Laundry. And the food in that movie, cartoon food that makes you hungry, Keller did the food for that at the French Laundry. The Pixar people went there, apprenticed, watched him in his hands. He developed the ratatouille that was served to the critic at the end of the movie. I wonder if people realize that. I think it's terrific that the Southshire people are going to actually get to go up to Manchester. I'm really looking forward to that. Like I had said earlier, we're somewhat new. There's been different incarnations here at the station, and hopefully let people know, what's going on down here isn't the same old, little bit, a lot of bit change, and we're fairly close, and we do draw from Manchester some, but I would like to draw more, and I'm looking forward to networking with the chefs from Manchester as well.